Let's get nuts. Welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and eats nuts on and off camera. I'm your host, Sophie Choice.
I am not your host. I have an inquiry.
I love the
You have
accent.
to match our energy here, Marie.
I am sorry. This will kick in, and then I will. And I must ask you a question. I'm trying to do British. I can't. I'm laughing too hard. I got
You're
too much
laughing
nuts in my mouth.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be off the cuff on this episode. We don't really have a specific topic on this one. What we're going to be doing is asking each other random questions that are hopefully thought-provoking, or at least enough to make us giggle. But we're going to come off the cuff and try to come up with our own original one. So, Jose, is there anything you want to say before we get into these tacular questions?
No, I said we just go right into it. We don't know where this is going to go. I can go in any direction. So
just raw dogging it. So what I'm going to do is, since we're going to go through rounds, I'm going to mix up the order. So first, we're going to start off with Jose to start us off on this round. Ask the first question, Jose.
Okay. We'll keep it simple. So does recasting a character on a show throw you off or bother you, or you don't mind?
Okay.
Bothers the hell out of me.
Let's add some parameters to this question. Is it only one season that it's been in and we're recasting in the second season, or is it like 7 seasons in and you're recasting in the like way later in the show?
Specify that in your answer. If it's good in one way and not good the other way, explain it.
Okay. So, I'll go ahead and answer the question first. So, I don't like it when they do that, but I also understand it. So what was it? Was it Game of Thrones where they recasted that guy, Daenerys' little side piece after one season? You know, the guy that played Francis in the Deadpool movie. Remember how he got recasted? If it's like after one season and it's not quite working out and they recast it, it's almost better to, if the character is like needed in the story, then almost like rip the Band-Aid off, swap it out if you need to, if that's going to help improvement. It does throw me off a little bit, especially when you watch that first episode. And it's like, if you can't just like Aunt Viv us though, is the point that I'm trying to make here. We can't watch 5 seasons of this great actress that's been portraying this great role, and all of a sudden 5 seasons in, you just make some joke and all of a sudden she swapped faces. Having said that though, I don't go back and rewatch later episodes and I'm so thrown off because it's a different actress. Like, you eventually get used to it because at the end of the day, I'm watching the story. So does it ruin it? Not necessarily. Do I prefer it? No, but there's always so many things that happen. Sometimes you have issues where the actors don't get along with, the creative people behind the show. Sometimes it's scheduling things. Sometimes the actor blows up too much, too fast, and they're only doing movies now. Like, there's so many factors that play into this. So, stuff happens.
I'm trying to think. I know there was a TV show where they recast after, I think, the first season or the first few episodes. Oh, they recast Jerry Seinfeld's dad. After the first time you see his parents, it's a different dad, and they switched it. That's okay.
My wallet's gone. Okay.
That's the new guy. That's the newer one, and that was a step up. That was a very good choice. But again, there was only one episode. But I still think there was a whole season, then they switched it, and it was actually a good choice. But yeah, how long that character is with you matters. Also, if you're downgrading the character, or if the portrayal of the character is downgraded, like we always use Aunt Viv because you can't, like, she was just queen and so sassy, and then you got this like dull woman. She was dull. She couldn't. Sorry to the actress that near level watches, but still, I feel bad. There's no comparison. It doesn't feel like the same character whatsoever. It's like you're a new Aunt Viv. Like, you're not even trying to be like the original one. You know what I mean? It's like the character was totally switched, not just the actress. And that also happened in Roseanne when they got a new Becky, one of the sisters. It was the exact same thing. Where it's like she had less charisma and everything like that, and it sucked. So I don't know. It depends how long they're with you for. It depends if the change is actually going to add more. I want to say the Riz. Like, they have to be more charismatic or more to like really take that place of that character. So it bothers me. Yeah, the little things bother me. So
yeah, for me, it does bother me. It just depends on the level of bother and then the time frame of that bother. So, if it is a major character, someone you're seeing a lot of the times, higher level of bother. if it's a lower character you see once in a while, so like the Game of Thrones didn't bother me too much. That's not someone like major. And Viv bothered at that point because that was someone major. But even though it bothers me, if the person that comes in does a good job and the story is good, I get over it and I kind of just start getting used to like this is the person, and I can get past it over time. Even at and Viv, the original, I prefer, but after a while, it was like, okay, this is Enviv now. I got past it, I got over it, and then like that was the Enviv now. So that's what it depends on with me is what how prominent is this character, how long has it been, but eventually I'm gonna get rid of it as long as this I'm gonna get over it as long as the story's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that actually loves when that happens, right? I think the general consensus is that we don't like that to happen. But having said that, is there any examples that you could think off the top of your head that you actually did like it, where you actually said, "I'm glad they swapped because I didn't like that person."
Yeah, I'm trying so hard to think about, especially a character that's been in for like a while and they swapped it.
I
I
noticed
know
like
there's someone.
you know why? Because like the 90s did it a lot, especially on TV shows. The 90s did it all the
Hmm.
time, where like they would have somebody that was more bland. So like even when you mentioned Jerry's, Seinfeld's dad, the newer dad was better. But I know that there's better examples of this, of stuff that they might have done in
Yeah.
Family Matters or Full House or something like that. But can't think right now off the top of my head.
No. And it's
But I
bugging
know
me because I know
there's
there's one that's like
absolutely.
Yeah.
really, uh-huh.
There's been times where I haven't even noticed. There's usually not a major character, but I haven't even noticed. And then like later on, so I was like, that's not the same person. I'm like, oh crap, that isn't the same person.
He's like 7 seasons in and he didn't even realize.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because they're not a prominent like person. They're like, for example, the boys. Like I didn't initially right away realize that they recast the kid in there. And then it was after a while when I looked back and I had to rewatch some of the old ones. I'm like, that's not the same kid in there.
Mm.
But like the character wasn't major enough at that point. There, my focus wasn't there, so I just kind of just moved past it without even knowing.
I noticed they do it a lot with kids, right? Because like even in
Yeah.
what was it like Friends, right? Like Ross's son, they kept rechanging actors and stuff. Like they had the one from Big Daddy, and before it was like somebody else or whatever. Like they've
Hmm.
recasted the character a lot. I know it's really hard with kids because it's like they always tend to like upgrade them or whatever. I guess right, the acting ability and
Great.
whatnot. But
There
I mean, there's got to be some though. But I just can't think of them off the top
Yeah,
of my
is.
head.
I know sometimes you can run into it with the first episode with the pilot episodes
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes a pilot episode can be filmed way before a show even
Mm-hmm.
gets
Mm.
approved and it's going to make
Mm-hmm.
it onto air, and usually by that time it gets to that point that actor might not be available anymore, so then they have to make some changes as soon as episode two
Mm-hmm. Or
in
they
there.
didn't test well because like I don't know if you saw some of the original pilot scenes of Game of Thrones, but Daenerys was recast. They had somebody else for it, and I guess she didn't test well, and then that's when they eventually grabbed Emilia Clarke, who was much
Yeah,
better, I'm assuming.
so things like that. Some shows they'll get around it and they were like, you know what, I'm not going to recast, but we're just going to by episode two add a different character and get rid of that character and just kind of write them
Mm.
off by the second character, which I think we got with New Girl. By the
Hmm.
time New Girl ended up getting the green light and everything like that, the Waynes
Yeah,
who played
Damian Wayans.
Coach,
Yeah,
he already had gotten on another show that was doing well.
happy endings. Yeah.
Yeah, so then they had to bring in someone else, and eventually they ended up bringing him back later
Did
on.
they? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is funny because like I actually liked the other show that he did. I didn't really watch New Girl, but I watched the other one, and I thought the other one was hilarious too. But you know,
yeah. New Girl
there
was
you
good. I liked it.
go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Marie, next question.
Okay, this is kind of like the kind of a personal question, and I want you guys to work for it a little bit.
I hate personal questions, but go ahead.
Sorry, not personal, not really. It's just it's okay. Not it's not gonna deep psyche your soul or anything. Just because I've been watching movies lately, and several of the ones that I have watched are the endings have just completely been like, why? Like you're doing so well, and the endings were so
Third
bad.
act.
And then and of course at the end, I always like go on like a like a rampant like rage fest episode. What I think should have happened, and I'll like talk about it for like an hour. Can you guys think of like any movie off the top of your head where the ending was so bad and it ruined the whole movie for you? Not ruined the whole movie for you, but like a movie where you know exactly how you think it should have been
Well,
written at the
Alien
end.
Romulus, right? We reference that all the time. Like the first half
Yeah.
of the movie was so brilliant and amazing, and then the third act was so bad to me that like it really brought it down from like a 9.5 all the way down to like a 6, 5.5. And it's like, ugh.
Which we don't all agree on that.
So fight. I'll
Okay.
just sit here and drink.
We agree on that. One of us is just completely wrong.
Or that.
Guess which one that is.
Yeah.
Guess which
I
one that
agree
is.
with it was not the most ideal way, but it was not bad enough to bring it down to a fail grade if you were at a 9.5 at that point.
Okay. So I think in movie world, if you do like a 6, I don't think that's a fail grade. Because
No.
I don't believe that the number like a 6 out of 10 is a 60% on the test and it's like a D. Because as we've talked about this, right? This is where we differ. Because if you say like an F is like 50%, then nothing exists between 1 through 5. You would never have anything there. So to me, a fail is like a 1 or a 2. A D is more like a 3 to a 4 ish. A C is more like a 5, like a 6, 7. And when you start going from like a 7, it's like an 8. That's when like the B range, and then the 8 is like above it.
Yeah. You
You
get
know.
A's or B or you fail.
Okay, so let's do that then. So let's go letters then. 'Cause I think letters is where we go on that. So I had it
Right.
at an A, and it got all the way brought down to like about like a C minus
Yes,
because
my
the third
exact
act.
same.
Yes,
That's my
that's where
exact
I'm at. I
grading.
don't think it's a fail. Like I wouldn't give it an F, but it was like a C minus, where it was just like, oh my God, because you went so everything that I feared that it was gonna do, and the reason why I stand by this assessment is because everything that was so good about that first half, it was so original, it was so clever, it was standing on its own footing, it was doing things that I always wish that they explored that they were doing, just to retreat and go back to everything that we just saw in the originals. It lost its originality. It did everything that the first half did, it did the exact opposite. That's why I was like, oh my God, like you completely retreaded on this. Like it wasn't the last scene. It wasn't even the climax. It was the whole third act to
It
me.
wasn't half though. Third and half is two completely different things.
Okay, it's to me it's the third act for sure. It was the halfway
Hmm.
point where they started introducing some things where I was like, okay, I don't like this, but I
I'm
wouldn't
a little
say
scared.
that yes, but I wouldn't say that if it would have still had a good third act, it would have probably dropped down to like an A minus, but it still would have been an A minus to me. Like it wasn't bad enough. But then the more that they just kept going down and down and down it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. That's why I say it was a halfway point that I stopped saying this was perfect. That's what I'll say.
Okay, so my question is for you then.
Hmm.
What would have kept it perfect, and what kind of ending would you have wanted to see from that movie?
So everything that they presented in the original one was more about the xenomorph, and it was more based around that. I would have kept the whole bioengineered stuff off of it. Everything they did in Prometheus, I would have kept out of it. The retreat, the regurgitated lines, the repeated stuff, the
Oh
stuff we've
yeah.
seen already, the repeated action, I would have changed that stuff. The groundedness of the characters trying to survive, to me, is always so fascinating. It's like a very Jaws aspect. What I love about the original Alien was that you had a group of people just stuck and being preyed upon. And then it seemed like as the Alien franchise kept evolving, they kept complicating that more and more. So with Alien Romulus, it felt like they went back to their roots and they flushed out the characters beforehand. They made you care about each and every one of them. Then they put them in, and then they were captured. They should have left it at that. The second that they made a
Mm,
more big world with the engineers and everything is where you lost me. Go back to keeping it simple.
yes, with every movie ever, go back
Hmm.
to keeping it simple. I
Correct.
that's the theme of today.
Hmm.
What about you, Jose? What's a movie ending that you saw that you're like, oh, no, no, no. It should have been this way, not this.
Mm,
Broad question. It's a really broad question.
no.
It's a broad for the crowd.
Yeah, I'll go with one for this year. Late Night with the Devil. I
Oh
felt
yeah.
That's a good one.
that fell apart in the third act. They had some good
Hmm.
things happening at the beginning. They were exploring some lore.
What
You
moment
know,
flipped for you? What moment where you were good and all of a sudden it was like, I don't like this, and then what moment was like, okay, I definitely don't like this.
It's when shit started going down, when we started actually seeing the supernatural aspects happening in there, then it became very generic at that point. You know, and they stopped touching on the things that were interesting at the beginning. You know, again, you were touching a little bit on that organization and everything like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's intriguing in there. They didn't dive deep enough into that aspect. It got a little cartoonish with the way they were like presenting that spot, and it's like one of the things when you get a lot of times with horror movies, it's where you have this mystery and this tension built up, and then you show the creature, and the design of the creature just doesn't like hit the way it does. It takes away a lot of that thing that was keeping you in there. That was the thing. Is like they pulled the curtain and they showed us, and it didn't meet the expectations when they pulled that curtain. It would have been better if they, kind of kept a little bit of mystery to it, like things might be happening, they might not be happening, escalating a little bit rather than just going to that point.
Yep. That movie was a letdown.
Your turn.
For sure. Which one would I have changed?
Yeah. I need to pick a
Oh,
third
well,
one.
okay. Well, I'm going to say definitely what I watched last night, and that is The Substance. And I'm not going to give you spoilers. Don't worry. I know
No.
you boys haven't seen it.
Mm.
But
Men.
I, oh, sorry. I know you males have not seen it. Um, yeah. So there's a part in the movie near the end where I think it should have ended because there's this very impactful scene that totally got me. Got me all choked up. And I was like, wow, that's heavy. That's powerful right there. And then it kept going. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they, just like maybe right here. And it kept going and it kept going. And then it got to this point where it was way too, and so there's people who love this aspect about this movie, but it got way too ridiculous, way too over the top. Again, keep it tight, keep it simple, keep it, oh, and it's so much more impactful that way. But anyway, it goes so off the rails at the end, and you're like, okay, to the point where like you're making it like way too cheesy. And I can't say how I would have changed the ending, but I would have simplified it, ended it sooner. Like maybe like a good 20 minutes sooner, maybe half an hour sooner, and just had it ending on a much more impactful, uh, simpler note instead of putting all this stuff. I know it's supposed to be horror and body horror, but like, see, if it's just too stupid, it's too stupid at that point. So,
You know what I'll throw as an honorary mention?
I
The
was gonna
Village.
mention ones. Okay. I I was gonna say Barbarian. Barbarian started off pretty
oh,
good, and
Oh,
then
you need half. That's a half movie that was
that's
up
what
there.
I'm saying. That's
That's
what
a
I'm
yes,
half.
thank
saying.
you.
That's what I'm
It was so
saying.
good, and then it switched.
And then it switched. And once they started making those turns, it was like kind of like the same thing where you start to see a turn. It's like, I don't really like that. And then as they keep going, it's like, okay, now I know for a fact I don't like this. Like
Yeah, it was like, did they switch the director and the writer? Like that's what
Uh,
as I
that's
was
how
watching, I'm
Alien. Yeah.
like even the characters don't feel the same. Like something switched, something
oh
happened.
no. I was like, finally, this girl is super smart. And then I was there, this like, no, 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 wait, guys, she's an idiot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know if anybody else laughed out loud in the theater when that thing jumped off that tower, but I
Oh
laughed out.
yeah.
I was the only one in the theater I was
Really?
laughing out loud.
To me, in the theater, everybody was cracking up, and it was like it was a comedy moment. Like I felt like it really
Oh
was a
no.
legitimate comedy moment. Like, it was supposed to be comedy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
She,
was
I
she
thought it
I
was.
was the only one
Like she was
laughing.
flapping
And I
in
was
like
just,
slow mo.
yeah.
I know. Ah.
Like that
She
was.
she was super smart, but she must have used all her HP levels of intelligence, and she was
Yeah.
just halfway through the movie. She had nothing left.
Next question. You have to wipe out this actor and all their movie catalog. Okay, I'm gonna give you three choices: James McAvoy, Natalie Portman, Matthew McConaughey. They're gone and all their movies. Who do you take out and why?
Never Natalie Portman, never. Um,
I feel like Jose cannot let go of James McAvoy, or can you?
why?
I don't know.
Which ones about James McAvoy can you not?
I really appreciate him as
He's
actor. I
gr-
think
he's
he's really
great.
underrated. I can't get rid of the underrated one.
Split.
He doesn't get enough
No,
respect
he's
already.
yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, guys. Then what's the one for sure that you're like, that's a hard no. This one's staying. This one's remaining.
Natalie
I think
Portman.
I think I'm keeping McAvoy for sure. Just, again, because like I think he doesn't get enough respect, and I'm like I can't just. I would be
That's your
adding
boy.
to the disrespect, getting rid of
Yeah.
him.
Okay. And then for you, it's Natalie Portman. Why Natalie Portman? Think for sure Natalie Portman, these three movies, is why she stays.
Okay, sorry. I would
Okay.
keep Closer, and I would
Okay.
keep V for Vendetta, and I would
Okay.
keep
That's a good one.
um and I would keep
You
also
say Garden
Garden
State.
State, obviously. Yeah.
So for James McAvoy, what are the top three movies that you're like, this is why he needs to stay?
All right, I'm gonna have to obviously gonna go with Split.
Mm-hmm.
So Split's gonna be in there. Uh, he had this other movie that he did a really good job in. It's very different. It's weird, but there was like
Yeah.
Filth, and I'm like
Okay.
thinking maybe Filth.
Okay.
That was good. No, he had oh crap. There's a TV show that I really like that he did.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Which one?
yeah, it's a sci-fi show. I'm trying to
So
Really?
you've
He
got
was in a
research.
sci-fi show? I don't
his
remember
Dark
that.
Materials. Like that one.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
But you
So
said catalog, right? So that would be included TV shows,
Yeah. Yeah,
or
yeah,
is it film?
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it doesn't have to be movies. It's just them and their yeah, well, I said movie catalog, but it doesn't matter. We'll do
Oh,
TV. Like whatever project that they did.
well, I can't get rid of Natalie Portman just from her SNL rap. Like I would keep her
That counts.
alone just for that over
That
any of her
counts.
movies.
See,
Maybe
that
I would
counts.
keep her
Then
just
that
from
would be
that.
your third. There you go. See, we'll
Okay,
keep it
fair.
light. We'll keep it thing. Doesn't have to be that deep. Just very
Yeah.
lighthearted. Of the three, man, Matthew McConaughey's really there for me too. I'd probably end up going Natalie Portman because Leon the Professional. Like I love Leon the Professional. Black Swan was right there with it, and then probably, man, she's been in so many. I'd probably go Closer for that third one. I think,
Garden
but
State.
yeah.
huh?
You-
Yeah.
Garden State.
That's
Oh,
what
I love
almost
Garden
made me
State,
want
but
to
I like
eliminate
the
her.
other. Yeah. To me, I love Garden State, but Black Swan better. Leon the Professional better, and then it's between Garden State and Closer. I'm gonna take Closer.
You know what? I'm
I like it better.
gonna with your original question.
Okay.
I would choose McAvoy. Uh, Even though he's got the acting performances,
Oh, you would eliminate him.
the movies themselves, the other two are gonna have the bigger like movies when it comes to
Impact.
it. Even though when it comes to acting performances, like it's hard to eliminate them. But the aspect itself, because Natalie Portman, like I thought about eliminating her because like I don't like Garden State, I don't like the prequels that
Oh yeah.
she's in and all of that stuff.
That's an
But that
interesting choice. You lose all that, but then you get rid of the prequels. I mean,
yeah, get rid of the prequel, but
I
then
know,
it's a
that's
good
you also
true.
get
sacrifice.
rid of like Endgame and stuff like that, which is really good. You get rid of
Oh yeah,
Closer that she's in. I do like Black
yeah.
Swan, even though I find it as an adult creepy as hell. You do get rid of Leon the Professional
Hmm.
Yeah.
at that point. So she has a lot of good stuff in her back catalog
Hmm.
that it's hard to justify, even though I would love to get rid of, again, Garden State, Annihilation, the prequels. She has quite a few movies there that I would like to like cut out.
You mentioned Annihilation, and I agree with you. And it's funny to me because
Really?
there's a lot of Annihilation fans out there. I'm not one of them. When I watched it, I was just like, oh man, and I really thought I was gonna like it.
Oh, it just screams pretentiousness. Like I was seeing that and I'm like, it kind of not to the level, but it reminded me of Mother, where it was just like I wasn't caring too much the story. Like I was seeing the writer being like, "Oh, look how amazing I am." Like I don't know. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Okay,
So James
so now
McAvoy.
James McAvoy. So which one would you eliminate with very quick little thought, Marie, of the three?
Me.
James McAvoy.
Um, yeah, probably, yeah.
For me, it'd probably be James McAvoy just for those reasons, because the other two have like their catalogs too much. It's too intense.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
Marie, start us off in round two.
Okay, since we're getting rid of people, let's go with the Canadian Ryans. So you have to get rid of one and all of their catalog. Ryan Reynolds or Ryan
You
Gosling.
had a similar question. Okay, I like
Yeah,
that.
I
All
did.
right, go ahead. And no research. We have to go off the top of our head.
Just
Okay,
those two.
that's
I
it.
mean,
Oh,
it's
wait, who
gonna
is it?
You know, you
Sorry,
guys,
Ryan Reynolds and
you guys
who?
don't have to research. I do though. Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling, the Canadian Ryans. Which one
it's
do you
gonna
pick to get rid of?
it's gonna have to be Reynolds.
Well, one of them
Just
has to
Ooh,
go.
I thought you were gonna. Wait, are you keeping Reynolds, getting rid of him?
Getting rid of him.
Oh,
It's Ryan freaking Gosling. Like the guy just puts out
oh,
bangers and acting wise, he's gonna be superior to Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds does give more fun movies in there, but if you're just I'm just going on acting performances and the quality of some of the movies that he
yeah.
puts out there, I'm gonna go with Ryan Gosling.
I just thought with like Deadpool, and I thought with also did you love that movie, like what was it, Best Friends or like Waiting or
Just
something like
Friends.
that, you guys, or
Just
Just
Friends.
Friends, sorry, yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I tried watching it, didn't like it. So okay, no,
No,
Gosling. Okay.
I do enjoy a lot of Ryan Reynolds movies. Like I said, if it was to judge like who has the most fun movies, it's gonna be Ryan Reynolds. He does a lot of fun movies, but like
Okay,
Ryan Gosling's got
so
some great
Jose,
movies out there.
what are two movies why Gosling? Like, what are the two movies are like? I can't give these movies up, which is why Gosling survives
I mean,
over
you
Reynolds.
have I love his performance in Blue Valentine. You have the Nice Guys, which is a really underrated comedy. Um, was it the place
Place Beyond the
behind the
Pines.
pines, beyond the
Place
pines?
Beyond Pines, so
Yeah.
good.
So you have like that one too. Like he has a
Okay.
ton of like bangers out there, and there's a lot of variety to what he
Yeah.
has. Ryan Reynolds, you're getting one type of movie overall. You get a couple of like serious one here and there, but he doesn't dive too much into that. You know,
Hmm.
Ryan Reynolds, especially last year, we saw his range as he's getting more into comedic roles on top of that too. So I feel the catalog is going to be stronger from Reynolds.
Or
I mean
Gosling, you mean?
from Gosling.
Yeah,
Mm,
I would get rid of Reynolds as well, even though I really love some of his movies. But Gosling is like the two I can't lose is Blade Runner 2049. I
yeah,
can't
so good.
lose The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is such a good freaking movie,
The
man.
Big Short was a good
The
movie
Big Short
when
was
he's
good,
in
Yes,
it.
yeah,
but like
super
I
good.
can't lose The Nice Guys. Like Gosling, even Drive, like he's been in a lot of movies. I'm like,
Yes,
man, he
Yeah.
was amazing in that.
And even if
So
you're going
Gosling
rom
all
com,
day.
you got that Crazy Stupid
Crazy
Crazy
Stupid
Love.
Stupid
Love.
Love, yeah,
Oh,
Crazy Stupid Love. He did good
that
in
one I can't.
and to other people, La La Land, like they love La La Land, I didn't love it as
Barbie.
much as others, but yeah,
Yeah. I liked
sure.
Fall Guy. I felt that was a movie that's more into Ryan Reynolds territory because it's
Oh
more
man,
like
he did
action
so
comedy.
good.
And
That
he
movie
did a
was
great
better than
job
I
with that
thought it was
one.
gonna be. Man, him and Emily Blunt have amazing chemistry together on camera. My God, they
Agree.
were good in that movie. Yes, so Gosling all day. Okay.
Mhm.
I will ask the next question, okay? With horror movies seemingly having a resurgence, what is the next beaten up genre that's due for a bounce back? So it's got to be a beaten up genre right now. You can't pick something that's just like like action seems to be doing well. You can't pick action. Pick a genre right now that's kind of beaten up. It's on the back burner, like the way horror movies used to be about 5 years ago, and it's having this resurgence. What's due next?
I I think I, I don't see comedy coming back as much as I would
I
prefer
know.
comedy to come back. I don't see it coming back at least anytime soon to the level it was. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
have to go with sci-fi. I feel it's really falling off over the last few years compared to like a lot of the sci-fi movies we used to get. Oh, and somehow like they found a way to make sci-fi boring. I feel like give me the exciting sci-fi again. And I think a lot of that maybe is just the over reliance on visuals and CGI, where the story on a lot of these sci-fi movies I just kind of fall into the wayside. So I would pick that one to hopefully have the next resurgence.
Fair enough.
I was gonna say comedy as well, but like you say, I can't see how. I can't see how. I just don't. I don't know. You don't see like the '90s, man. Like that was just like all comedy. Things were inappropriate. Everyone was just like fine with it. And now it's just everything's too careful. You got to watch what you say, and like that. It. Oh, I don't want to use certain buzzwords on this podcast because that will get a strike. But you can't say certain things, and comedy is almost like killed because of
Not
it, or
sleeping,
sorry, or offed
not
because of
not
it.
sleeping.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I like to see, but like I said,
So what genre do
I
you
don't see
think?
it. Comedy. I
So
want
you
to see
still
it,
are
but I
going
don't
with
think we will.
comedy?
I'm still going with it. You know,
Okay,
I have a
okay,
hopeful
okay,
heart, but I don't
okay.
think it's going to happen. But
So let me challenge you with this then. How do you think they can navigate? Like, what's the direction comedy can go? Do you think because there's been recent president changes in America, it's going to start to change a little bit? People are going to be a little more open-minded, or is there an
no,
avenue right now with current trends and what's popular and stuff that there's an avenue to find comedy?
I might have a response to that if that's
Okay.
okay.
well, since most of the movies are made in places that the current president doesn't matter. I mean, it's no. I don't think there's going to be a change, even though with what you just said. No.
While I don't think it's going to change, I think the recipe probably for it to change is going for it. It's taking the risk. I think it's the fear of the risk is what's holding comedy back. Not that people just stop being funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm,
it's the fear of the risk. So I think it's the going for it, but then
Mm.
also going for it with uh, a doable budget so that the risk financially isn't as high where they're willing to take that risk. I think if they figure out to bring comedy back at lower budgets where it's more focused on the material itself, and if
yeah.
it fails and it flops, they don't lose too much. I think we'll get more of those risks of trying to bring it back. And I think people will have, because we've had a few random ones here and there that have been successful. There's the one with Lawrence that came out last year, and that ended up
Mhm.
kind of actually doing well. And that was a raunchy rated R comedy. Jennifer Lawrence was in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had that. We had
No hard feelings.
Strays with the dogs.
Strays.
That was like old school
Mm-hmm.
comedy. That did well. That was
Mm-hmm.
received well. We also had the one with the kids that came out.
Oh
I think
yeah, the
like
F what was it? Bad Kids or something like that, or bad
yeah, I forget
something
what it
like
was
that.
called, but
Yeah.
that was received well. That did well. So you see them pop up here and there, but it's like it does well, and then like people pull back and they don't go back
Yeah.
to it.
I think you touched on it. I think the key is gonna be because what the way that horror had the resurgence was you had smaller production companies that put these on. And I think in order
Mhm.
to do that, so even when you had movies like Terrifier, right? Terrifier 3 is coming out and or it came out and it did better than Joker 2 did, and they kept advertising that. It's when you have smaller companies, you have to take bigger risks in order to stand out and do well. There's a market for it. So if you go the horror route with it, meaning smaller productions, smaller name people, actors or actresses, and you go that route with it, if it picks up enough steam, studios are going to start leaning into that like they did horror movies. So it's possible people want to laugh again. It's possible. I would personally probably go. I think it still might needs to get beaten up a little more, maybe. Comedy. Another one too is superhero movies. I feel like superhero movies needs to get beaten up a little more before it has its bounce back because right now it's a lot of it has a bad reputation right now with what's coming out.
Yeah.
I would personally probably go with sci-fi. I think sci-fi, when you have movies like Dune that came out, it did well, but you have so many like the one that Zack Snyder did, where it's giving bad reputation to sci-fi movies because it's becoming so boring. They
Or that
need to find
45.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That one with what's his name? Can't think of his name right now.
Kylo
The
Ren.
45. Yes, Kylo Ren, that guy. There you go. Yeah, with
Adam
him.
Driver.
Yeah.
Yes, Adam Driver. So by sort of, if you could find a way to do it where it's more smaller budgets and get creative like that, I think you can have a resurgence of sci-fi because I think there's a lot of great storylines as we've seen. We've seen TV shows touch them. Black Mirror's touched it. They've done a phenomenal job. They need to get ideas like that. Like Ex Machina. Ex Machina was brilliant. It was amazing, and it was small budget and very simple story. That's where sci-fi needs to sit on.
Yeah, I feel
Yes.
sci-fi these days is finding more success on the
Mm-hmm.
TV show realm than it is in the movie realm.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay. All right. Jose, hit us with the third question.
All right. So for this one, I want you guys to put yourself in the shoes of an actor, actress. So you are an actor, actress, and
Mm-hmm.
you get to choose your career path. Which
Mm.
career path would you want to go with? Will you go have the blockbuster, fun film career that everyone loves? Doing a lot of horror, superhero movies, sci-fi movies, comedies, things like that? Or would you rather have the serious movies with a lot of awards career. More into your like your dramas, your Oscar worthy movies and things like that. Both both are going to lead to success. Which type of success would you prefer if it's your career? Uh, Marie, we'll start with you.
Probably, probably the serious one with award. I don't even care about the awards, man. I don't care about the blockbuster either. I would just want to be who would I want to be like that? What kind of actress? Who's like that? Where it's like they're hmm. I'll go with the serious with the awards because that's I'm so serious, so that's what I would want. I don't know. I like the depth option, not just like the. I feel like I'd be more proud of the work I did if it was like a more serious type thing than just doing like the big. Even though I love horror and I love fun and all that stuff, it's just I want to like hit. That's what I would want to do.
Follow up question.
Okay.
What type of movies would you gravitate to?
Um, probably really deep depressing movies. Maybe like that involve like what kind of movie would that be? Like I always think about The Zone of Interest because that movie is just like brilliant in my eyes. But I don't know, like foreign lovey movies like Amelie, anything like that. Anything like that. I don't care about the blockbuster type stuff really. I don't want to like feel like a cheap person.
Okay. Dan?
Okay, so when I hear this question, I have to visualize certain actors, in lifestyles. So I'm thinking a Will Smith type when you're mentioning one, and I'm thinking a Leonardo DiCaprio for your option two. So I would go the Leonardo DiCaprio route because if I went Will Smith, where you're blockbuster, you also have to consider the lifestyle that's added to that, which is going to be a lot of tabloids, TMZ. You're going to be hot in the press. There's a lot of controversy, things that come with that. If your movies aren't hitting to the success of blockbusters, you're now seen as a failure. People are calling you that you're
Mm.
washed. You start having your career questioned a lot. You're more in the limelight of things like that. Going the route of Leonardo DiCaprio, you're focused more on the quality of work. You're working with better actors. You're making better art. So I would absolutely go towards the second one. I think I have a better work-life balance a little bit.
Okay. Take away DiCaprio because
Okay.
he's not filled with awards. As talented as he is, you
Okay.
saw how long it took him to get an award. Think
Yeah.
more Daniel Day-Lewis
Yeah.
Yes. So
career
I'd still go.
versus
Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. I'd still go Daniel Day-Lewis then on it
Yeah.
because you have at the end of the day, it's like, you can also replace Will Smith and put in Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like I'm
Or
gonna
Tom
go
Cruise.
or Tom Cruise, right? Great, great. But like I'm gonna go the catalog. But even Tom Cruise though had some really great acting performances, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in um Magnolia, like he did phenomenal in that. Eyes Wide Shut, he did really good. And so I'm
Well, Will
going
Smith
more.
too did too. To be fair,
He did, he did.
he had like 7 pounds and
Yes.
stuff. Where you put on Ali.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. That's why I'm going more The Rock. If it's more like
yeah.
The Rock that we're talking about, then I'm gonna go
Yeah.
more towards then I'll go more towards Daniel Day-Lewis on this because I'm making better quality of work. And even now as we do as we're filmmakers ourselves, I don't go the route of just making commercial product. I go more towards the art of of filmmaking. Like I fell in love with film, which is why I want to make film. It's not necessarily what I can do to kind of sell out, sort of. And it feels like when you're doing those blockbuster movies, you're helping sell a product and what you want to do with the character is modified so much by the studio, by the producers. Like they have so much hand in it, and there's so many things that we see that goes wrong with commercial projects. It's hard for them to have that success, and it's easier when it's more of a smaller scale. So I'd go that way. Long
That's
answer, but
okay. What you just said is like when I said cheap, that's what I'm talking about as a
there
product.
you go.
And I used the word cheap and I felt really guilty about that afterwards. I don't want to say like if people want to be a big action movie star, like I don't be like,
Mm-mm.
you're cheap. That's not it. But you're
Mm-hmm.
more selling a product. I'm thinking more like even DiCaprio to me is like too famous. Like I wouldn't want that type of level of
Mm-hmm.
fame, like paparazzi everywhere on his yachts. And I remember being a kid and he was on posters everywhere. I want to be more of like I would want to be more of like a Tony Collette, friggin' Kate Blanchett type person.
Mm-hmm.
Tilda Swinton. She's weird. She's weird. Oh yeah, that's what I would be. Tilda Swinton.
Mm-hmm. Tilda
Well,
Swinton.
I guess I'm a sellout because
I knew
You're
it.
cheap, Jose.
yeah,
Just
I guess
kidding.
I'm cheap as a sellout.
I feel
I said, I
bad.
think if both careers are going to lead to success, I'd rather have the career where I'm gonna have that variety to do the genres that I like, even if they're not considered Oscar worthy and award worthy. I want to do horror. I want to do sci-fi. I want to do superhero. I want to do projects that I can still put on a good performance. I can
Hmm.
still Robert Downey Jr. the shit out of it, but it's gonna be in movies that I will enjoy watching as well as I enjoy performing, instead of like pigeonhole myself to impress a bunch of like old people that run these awards. Because
Hmm.
if you're after the awards, and that's like your goal and a success, you're very limited on what you can do because they're very limited in the movies that they're accepting in that point. And I don't want to be constrained to specific things.
Hmm.
I want to be able to, Samuel Jackson the crap out of it, where it's like, oh, I like that movie. I don't care if it's going to be award worthy or not. I want to do that movie. Oh,
In
that looks like
occasion.
a fun action movie. I'll do that. That looks like a great comedy. Let me be silly for a while, not take myself too serious and do that movie. Like, I want to have the options and not think about, like, is this going to get me an award?
Yeah.
Just
So
the award thing is what threw me off too. Like I don't care about the awards either. I just for some reason would gravitate towards like that. Does Toni Collette have a bunch of awards? I don't know if she does, but like I
no.
But
just
she
like
also
that type
does a
of thing.
lot of horror, and then with the
That's
award
fine.
movies, they tend to be more serious drama. That's why I said the Daniel Day Lewis route. You weren't going to
But
see him in a horror. You weren't going to see him in a comedy.
but even the majority of the horror that she does, I find is like elevated horror, whatever they want to call it, or like
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
more of like a deep story. Um, and this is the thing, like you are an actual actor. We're not actors. I don't know. So that's why the question's
Yes.
like hard to ask people who aren't actors than who is an actor. Because you're like, oh no, I'm going to put my talent everywhere and show people what I can do,
Well,
even in movies that are blockbusters. It's like
okay.
I'm just like,
So
you
for
know,
me, I'm not seeing that I'm award chasing. Like in your question,
no.
I'm not seeing that I'm doing these roles to win awards. I just assuming I'm winning awards because I'm really good in these movies and I'm working on really good movies. I see it as in I want to do really good quality filmmaking and storytelling, and I want to
Mhm.
work with the best directors out there. And going to Daniel Day-Lewis, he's worked with the Steven Spielbergs, he's worked with the Martin Scorsese's. Like that's who I want to work with. I want to work with those icons that I grew up and I was obsessed with, and they're the reason why I got into filmmaking, and to sit there and learn from them, to be on set, that's what intrigues me. So like I watch a lot of art piece movies and art house movies, and like that's what I do with me as a filmmaker, as a film watcher, I should say. So that's what interests me. So when I was looking on the other end of it, what you're saying is right too. Like having the ability to wear a lot of different hats and not be necessarily typecasted, that's
Mhm.
great as well. But I'm not choosing the second option because I'm only award chasing. I don't care if I win awards or not. I'm just
Well,
assuming I'm
that's
winning
why I
because
phrased it like
I was
that.
a
It was
movie.
the other one, or
Oh,
serious, or your career being built off of serious movies and awards. Like
got
every
it.
movie you
Okay.
make is to
That's
get an award.
Yeah, well, I don't want
no,
that
that's
either.
tough.
But I don't
No.
want to be stuck doing blockbuster movies either. Like, and I say this, Will Smith showed a wide range of movies. I don't want Will Smith's career path. I don't want that. It's too much. It's either he's the lead or he doesn't do it. I don't want to be that. I would want to do more of ensemble movies. I want to be able to work with, again, like the Spielbergs or Scorsese's, like, the Guillermo del Toro. Like, that's who I want to work with. But and you don't even really see Tom Cruise doing a lot of movies with those type of directors. So like I want to go that second path, but I don't want it to always be based just off of awards. Like
But that's right.
Awards.
It's two extremes for this. That's why I posed the
yeah,
question like that. See,
I
I
guess
feel
I still take the second.
DiCaprio fits more on the other end. He adds variety. He's done all different types of movies. He's done comedy. He's done
Yes, but he
horror.
doesn't really
Like
just do blockbuster movies. So I wouldn't label him as a
No.
blockbuster guy.
I
His
said,
movies make money, but
what's
like
a blockbuster and fun films? So it's not necessarily like summer
so he's
blockbuster.
I
phrasing it
I
so
don't
that way we all go with the first
No,
option.
I'm
I
saying
don't
that.
see
No, that's exactly how I phrased the question. Like, would you
Yeah.
rather have the blockbuster and fun
See,
films
I didn't see
career,
Leo that
such
way
as,
at all. Like in your
or
no.
first one.
or the
Hmm.
serious movie and awards career?
But
No,
that's kind of how I see Leo because it's like he works with serious directors and serious movies. Now, just because he won one, I get it, but like it's not his fault he didn't win awards or whatever it is, but he's worked on serious movies. I see like The Rock, Tom Cruise, like doing Mission Impossible movies that are more event-based movies. That's how I saw the first one. Like you're doing more event-based, you're paying a superhero, you're in a Marvel movie. That's how I saw
Yeah.
the first category. In the second
Bloomhouse. I was
category,
thinking Bloomhouse, and
yes,
the second category I was thinking
exactly. Is
Hereditary, and this one's
A24.
Bloomhouse.
You're going
Yes, that's what
A24
I was
with it. Like
thinking.
that's how
Yeah,
I see that as well. That's the way I interpreted your question. That was it. But it's hard.
because it's a lot harder if you have to think about if
Yeah.
you're just award chasing, because like
Yeah, I don't want to
because
be that
that
either.
feels cheap too, cheap in its own way.
Yeah. And
So
like I would do
you're
like
a
a
product both ways.
yeah, like I
Right.
would do like a product or two, but the problem you run into the blockbuster one too is like if you're like Daniel Radcliffe, who's Harry Potter, and he's trying desperately to break out of being Harry Potter, and he's has the luxury now to do other movies, but a lot of people still label him as just Harry Potter, and like that sucks. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can't break out of that, and I don't want to be typecasted either.
that's right. You had us trying to eliminate a good actor or
I did.
actress out of
I
those.
did.
So that's
I
why
did,
this
Jose.
was posed with two extremes. There's no middle
Okay.
ground with this
Yeah, yeah.
question.
Okay. I guess I'd still go the second option just
Yeah.
because I get to make
Yeah.
good quality movies, I'm assuming. So I guess I'd still go that route, even though I'm not a award snob. But like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Who's the better actress? Cher or Madonna? Why?
Share.
Why?
Just because I've seen more of her stuff. I don't know.
Nate,
I just don't
like
like what
to make it
what if I
quick,
just don't like
just name
Madonna?
two movies that she showed good range for you.
Okay. Mermaids
And then the other one that you made
and
me watch with Nicolas
um
Cage, I'm assuming.
well, Moonstruck, yeah, but also The Witches of Eastwick.
Okay.
Um, oh, Moonstruck, yeah, she's amazing in there. She plays essentially in Moonstruck, she plays two different characters because she has a glow up, kind of. So yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, and Madonna just no, she watched Dick Tracy. Actually, in Evita,
She was in
League
Avita.
of Their Own, League of Their
Mm-hmm.
Own. I still go with Cher.
Okay. How's that?
Mm, I'm honest. I'll go with Madonna just because I've seen more stuff from her. I don't. I think from Cher, I've barely seen anything.
Yeah. I would probably lean towards Madonna as well. Just because Avita, she got so much praise for that movie. I liked her in A League of Her Own. Cher, the movies that I've seen, she's like okay, but it just feels like Cher kind of.
Ooh, Mask. Ooh, she yeah, good in Mask.
I feel like I really know the answer for this, but kind of give your explanation why.
Hmm.
Should horror performances get more award consideration than they do now?
Yes. Fun. Like just yes. Look at all the like, especially if we're talking about like A24 movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you off the top of your head name one horror performance that you feel over the last couple of years should have gotten consideration for best actress, best actor?
Well, I mean, I think actually, what's his name? Alex Wolf, is that his name? Was that
Hmm.
his name? The guy, what
Yeah.
the son
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
Hereditary, I think should have definitely for supporting actor. He every time blows my mind. He essentially broke his nose on that desk too. So
Hmm.
I hit him. Of course, Tony
Okay.
Collette, but I didn't want to be too
Uh,
obvious.
I would go, yes, it should absolutely because they showed a wide
Hmm.
range of emotions. I don't think it's fair that they just say because it's horror, blank, 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 blank. Like that's not fair. Just like how sometimes they'll say with like Pixar movies, like, oh, because it's a cartoon, we can't consider it a real great movie. It's like that's not fair either. They're real films. It's just a different medium than what we expect. So yes, I would. I would want to go Tony Collette in Hereditary, but fine, we won't.
Hmm.
I would even think the woman in Babadook I thought did a great job as well. Like she did
Hmm.
a fantastic job. So. I'll go with her.
I'm gonna
Hmm.
go with yes too. Like acting performance should not rely on genre. Like me
Mm-mm.
personally, I don't think the genre works. If you put on a good performance and you sell and you do what you need to do, like the genre should not matter. Going horror, I'll go with one recently that actually spurred this question because I was like, while the movie itself should not be considered for
Mm-hmm.
greatest movie of the year or something like that, I thought the performance from the woman from Smile 2, actually,
Mm.
she hit
I
so
haven't
many
seen it.
emotional levels, so many like up and down. Like I think she did a great job of kind of portraying that that psychotic break and like all things like that. So that made me think like, hey, like they won't even look at this, but they should at least look.
Okay. Real quick, tiny little bonus question. Do you think there's ever been a performance in a superhero movie that warranted some kind of
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I was going to say Robert Downey Jr. too.
in what specific one? In Endgame?
I would say the well, I will call it the part 1, part 2, but those both of those, including Endgame.
Okay. The reason why I asked because that's another genre that they dismiss because it's a superhero movie that you typically don't get those performances.
Yeah,
which
Heath
is why
Ledger only got the nomination
exactly
because he passed away, unfortunately.
that's what I'm saying. And
He
actually
deserved
won.
it though, but he
Yeah,
still
actually
deserved
won,
it
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, he probably wouldn't have won it had he still remained alive.
Yeah. I don't think he even would have gotten a nomination if he remained alive, because that's
Probably.
how like pigeonholed everything is.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And Marie, do you have a final last question?
Ooh, I just thought of another one who deserved an Oscar nomination for horror. No, not for horror. But I'll work it into my next question. Which movie villain do you sympathize with the most? And I'm gonna go right ahead and say Pearl. Mia Goth deserved an award for that movie.
Absolutely.
For that movie.
Should
I don't really sympathize with Pearl, but I just love the line when she's like, I
Okay.
know you're lying. I can feel things very deeply. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, the thing with Pearl, though, is that I don't technically really label it as a horror movie. It's a violent movie. Like, it's not a typical traditional horror movie much at all.
But they label it as such. They label that whole trilogy as such.
Exactly. But I feel like even those 3 movies are very different genres. Like, it's one franchise, but X and Pearl are not the same genre to me. They're different. X is more of a traditional horror, but they do label it as a horror. So like, I'm not, disagree. I'm not trying to combat your question at all. So like, I'll still, answer it. But she absolutely crushed it on that. Absolutely. I think Mia Goth's amazing. I think she's amazing. I think she's one of that new crop of great actresses that are coming out. I think even the final, when they're showing the end credit scene of Pearl, I'm just like, oh my God.
That's it. That deserved an award just for that.
Just for that. I completely agree with you. I thought she absolutely should have been nominated. I kept saying that all year. Like she crushed that. She crushed that. And the reason why I say I wouldn't necessarily label it as a horror movie, because I think the movie itself is more elevated than that. I loved Pearl. I thought it was phenomenal. I don't think it should be labeled as just a horror movie. I think it was deeper than that, is how I feel. That's why I kind of posed that a little bit. Sorry, what was your question? What was your question?
A movie villain that you sympathize with the most.
I will go a little bit of I mean, technically he's our lead in the movie, but he is technically a villain in the movie, the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker, like dealing with mental illness, and you see how he's treated and everything that goes around with that, the not in help and everything. I mean, I can kind of I felt bad for him in this movie. You're kind of cheering on the villain a little bit to win. So,
you know what? I saw this not too long ago. I would go with, I mean, not technically a villain, but not doing great stuff. I would go with from Let the Right One In, the girl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's still
well, I
kind
mean,
of yeah.
Yeah, not full villain, but I mean, she is, eliminating people,
doing bad things.
Not exactly a hero.
All right. Thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. Please like, subscribe, comment, share on YouTube channel Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Not a Strong Start. I am your host, Sophie's Choice. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I am not your host. I have an inquiry, and you can find me at This Is Mi Nombre on Instagram.
And I mustached you a question, but I was looking for something to draw a mustache on my face, but everything's permanent and I won't do that.
I think you should do it anyways.
Next time. I'm gonna take lipstick. You won't be able to see it.
Oh, like the Joker.
Ooh, just blood. Ooh.
I just thought of someone.
Who? Who?
John Kramer. No, John Kramer in the last Saw that happened. He was I actually felt the way they did that movie, someone else was worse, and it kind of made you sympathize for him.
That's always one good way to make us like a villain, is by having a worse villain.
Yeah. That's one way to do it. By movie 10, if you can make us sympathize, I mean, even though there is a sympathetic backstory to that character, if you
Yeah.
really look at it. But in that movie, it really did a good job of being like, damn, I'm kind of on his side here.